We'll start here. And I get this question a lot recently. I've gotten a lot recently because of our offense. And for years, starting with Toby Gerhart and Tyler Gaffney rushed for 1,700 yards, and then Stephon Taylor's the all-time leading rusher. We had Stephon, and then Christian McCaffrey and Bryce Love, and everybody's talking about, gosh, that Stanford offense was so built on running the ball, and last year you threw it all over the place. I said, well, hopefully our offense is built on doing whatever it takes to win football games. And however our team is built, I'm not going to be so built into following a dogma that I don't use common sense to play to my players' strengths. So I believe in being physical. I believe in running the football. I believe in throwing the ball with efficiency and explosive abilities. Now, the balance, however that is, for year to year it may shift, but my perfect world, first and second down, we're pretty close to 50-50 run pass. That's what I'd love to be. Now, year to year, based on how well we're built, we'll switch that. So this past year, Bryce Love coming off one of the best years in the history of college football, guy who's 195 pounds, leading the nation in runs after contact, broke tackles, was phenomenal, 7-8 yards a carry, outstanding, was banged up all year. And our quarterback, who was young last year, wasn't really young this year. We had two good tight ends, two good receivers, two veteran tight ends, two veteran receivers, and a veteran quarterback, and a good pass blocking offensive line. So for me, to sit there and say, well, we're just going to run the football because that's just what we do, it was about midway through second quarter of our first game of the year. We're basically, just gauging the room here, I don't see any young people. Basically, San Diego State, I have a lot of respect for. Both my brother and my dad went to San Diego State. My dad was college teammates with Rocky Long, the head coach of San Diego State, so we've been just with that family, and associated with that family for longer than I've been alive. But finally realized midway through the second quarter, they were standing over there going like this, saying, we're not going to let you run the ball. We're just not going to do it. We had 9 guys in the box. So I said, okay, you know what, let's just be smart, and let's throw the ball outside. Let's do what it takes to win the football game. Let's do it in a smart way. Let's do it in a sound way. Let's do it in a way that makes sense and do things that our guys know. Let's not come up with all kinds of things, but let's just take advantage of what the defense is doing. So it's part of what I'll talk about here. So a couple things. I always start with this slide. I've started with this slide for a long time. Is the 4 questions. The 4 questions. What are our base concepts? What do we believe in? You have to start there. Just what is our philosophy? What do we believe in? Are running the ball? Are we a gap scheme? Are we an inside zone? Are we an outside zone? Are we some combination? My charge to you is always make sure that it is somewhat finite. It doesn't have to be small, but it can't be ever changing. Because if you don't know what you believe in, your players will not know what you believe in, right? So we are a gap scheme with some inside zone, very little outside zone, West Coast passing offense with some drop back, 3-step, 5-step, play action. So once we identify that and we teach them the concepts, now we spend the rest of our time teaching technique. Technique wins football games. Outside linebackers that don't lose leverage. Offensive linemen that stay on the inside eye in pass protection and watch the guy by the quarterback. Quarterbacks that can handle pocket movement, subtle pocket movement, and get the ball out of their hands. Receivers that are efficient at the top of their routes. That's what wins football games. Not, we call a great play against the perfect defense. That happens once every 4 games. The rest of the game is you run your base stuff against their base stuff, and whoever executes the best wins. Helps if you have a couple good players too. And then how many times can we change the look? And this is my John Gruden background. We don't do it as much as we used to, but we like to say, okay, our top couple of runs, how many different ways can we run them? How can we make it look different to the defense, but simple for us, so that we're not just standing in the same spot all the time. We tweak it, we change it, we'll motion to it, we'll shift to it, we'll do it out of a different personnel grouping. But as far as the big guys up front, hey, it's the same run play. It's the same run play, same rules, same techniques. Keep it simple for our guys. And then as we go through the season, what are the base defenses that we're going to face? So how can we augment our running game with some quarterback movements, with some boots and play actions, and getting the quarterback, change the quarterback's launch spot. And in combination with number 4 is, how do they use their safeties and defensive backs so we can take advantage of play action, right? So the top 2 are really about us, and the other 2 are about, okay, how do we augment what we believe in when people try to take things away from us? How do we take advantage of that within the structure of our offense? So I'd love to start here. Unbalanced. So we've got a nice reputation, and I give a lot of credit to Coach Harbaugh. I give a lot of credit to Greg Roman, who's the run game coordinator. Our 3rd and 4th years with Coach Harbaugh, we really kind of opened the box a little bit to say, we know what we are, now let's make it really hard for the defenses. So we started doing a bunch of unbalanced in a bunch of different ways. So these are some plays now, different ways to get to unbalanced, right? Little funky shift, moving the tight end over, or moving the tackle over, leaving the tight end backside, so we still have an eligible backside. We make the defense communicate, and we come back and we run power. Simple play, base play for us, pure gap scheme, double teams in the front to the backside linebacker, backside guard pulling for the front side inside linebacker, fullback blocking off the edge. The rules haven't changed since before I was born. But we make it look a little bit different, right? And unbalanced with the tackle over there. Oh, now the defense has to communicate. There was a shift. Somebody has to account for the tight end backside because he's still eligible. We've got to deal with a slot and a guard pulling for the slot defender. To our guys, it's just power. It's just power. To the defense, oh man, we might not have prepared for this. So one week we might line up in it with the tight end backside and the tackle back here, or we might switch it up, or we might motion to it, or might shift the receivers to it, or we might shift everybody. But to our guys, it's power. See great patience by Christian McCaffrey. We're we toss the power sometimes, especially when the backside is open, so the quarterback can take any blitzer that comes off the edge. Full disclosure, got that from LSU. I think all the best coaches steal stuff from other people. So we toss it so the quarterback can watch the backside, and it helps our back stay square. So a lot of questions that come up when I talk about this, because many people run power different ways. We used to scissor kick the power. The problem with us scissor kicking the power is when the back receives the ball, his shoulders are on a diagonal, and every once in a while there's an A-gap play. And sometimes it's hard to get back inside the A-gap. So what we did years ago, probably going on 10 years ago before I was a head coach, we went to draw footwork for the running back to keep him in that A-gap. So if the A-gap's there, he takes it, but by him taking 2 steps downhill typically, now he's in perfect phase with the pulling guard back on his backside hip. So that's why we do draw footwork on the power, whether we're tossing it or just handing it. We try to keep the running backs footwork the same, so we can get that great relationship with that pulling guard. Now, a little funky. Hey, wait, what the hell's going on? Right? We have one receiver, he's on line of scrimmage with the tight end, and now there's a guard on the wing. Defensively, okay, we might not have practiced against this. Who's got what? Who's got what gap? How are we going to line up to this? For our guys, we're running power. We add a code word. We add a code word because we're changing it now. So now this guard that's playing wing, he now takes the fullback's job. He's going to block the first man outside. Backside guard still pulling for the front side linebacker. We add a term to tell this guy that somebody else is blocking my responsibility. So now I have extra. So I'm going to filter through and find the next guy I can find. As we block here, we block down, we're double teaming back here, we're blocking back, we're pulling around for this guy, and now the fullback's just searching through for the first guy he can find. So for our guys now, it's still power with 2 subtle adjustments. Fullback knows now I just got to have a little patience. I'm going to take the extra guy, and we hand the ball to a fast guy, which always helps. Always helps. So once again, keeping it simple for the big guys up front. We are on tracks. We are double teaming to the backside linebacker. Fullback usually has first man off the edge. Oh, somebody has my job. Okay, now I'm going to filter through and take the extra guy. And now I got 54 who's taking the first guy off the line of scrimmage. And we're off to the races.
Coach,
yes?
is this a personnel group? Do you have another offensive lineman in there, or are you always playing with a 6 lineman and it's usually tight end or not?
Yeah, we use, it might change week to week, but one of the things that we started doing a long time ago that I truly believe in, I love playing more than 5 offensive linemen. I really do. It serves multiple purposes. One is when you play the same 5 guys all the time, what happens to all their backups is they end up kind of not completely being invested, and they're kind of waiting their turn as opposed to getting ready to play, which they're supposed to get ready to play anyway. All backups should. But now when we develop roles for at least 2 of them, one guy learns how to play tight end and we'll give him some opportunities to get out there. Another guy will learn how to play the wing. So now he gets a chance to get out there. Sure, our goal line, we might take another guy, so we might be getting 3 backups ready to play. What happens is during the course of the week, they're into practice because they know they have a role. They know I have something. They know I might get 2 plays or 5 plays. I might get 1 play, but I got to be ready for when my play is called. Now they're more invested than they were before. And as I like to say, the more guys that get dirty on game day, the better for us, right? The more guys, they feel like they're invested. They feel like they get a chance to sweat and get dirty and hit somebody and be a part of it. And it's been one of the healthiest things in our offensive line room that they know, hey, if I practice well, because we also put it on competition, like you got to earn the job. But the job's there to be earned. I earned my way to get on the field. Now I'm a bigger part of what we're doing, and especially when we make big plays. And a guy might have 3 plays in the game. He's like, don't forget, Coach, last time I played, there was an explosive play. Just reminding you, helps bring the running back for a big touchdown. But yeah, the more guys that play, even if their role is small, the more investment they have. Like this one. So now here we are. We just line up with the tight end on the unbalanced side over here. But now we have another call. So now we're going to run a counter play. But now with our counter play, what we did with our fullback before, where he was the extra guy, now our tight end's going to be the extra guy. So instead of blocking down, he's now going to arc release and block the first thing that he sees. And now we're just running running counter. Backside guard pulls the kick out. Double team front side to the backside linebacker. Fullback now starts to the weak side, comes back. He's the second puller that pulls for the front side linebacker. So once again, a counter play that was developed before I was born, just looks a little bit different, But once again, for the core of the inside guys, power and counter really is not that big of a deal to these guys. We got a front side double team to a backside linebacker. Now the puller's a little bit different. I'm not pulling straight up. Now I'm pulling flat to kick out. Pulling flat to kick out. Fullback now, I'm just going to get in the hip of that pulling lineman, read his block, and work back up inside. Running back, counter footwork for the same reason why we do draw footwork. We want to get that great relationship with the second puller who happens to be a fullback. We're inside out and that second puller. He kicks out, I go in, somebody wrong arms him. I should have enough space. Christian's a little bit tight there to the fullback because I've got to be able to have a little bit of space between him and me so I can read his block. But now I do. I get skinny through the hole and I get vertical. I think it's maybe the last one here. Oh no, I get 2 more. So now, what we've done is gone to our gap scheme, and so this is late in the year. So many people now, we get into unbalanced, and now they're flying over the top. They're flying over the top. So now what we run is a lead-o, right? So we're still pulling the guard, so the defense feels like they need to scrape because the guard's pulling and the fullback's going this way, so they feel like they're going this way. But now we're cutting the defense. We're blocking back, and now we're pulling the guard for this guy. And we're leading up on this guy. So now we've done so much off tackle, off tackle, off tackle, power, counter, power, counter. Now, lead-o. Full speed, downhill. They think it's going to be lateral. Now we get vertical. Change up, just a change up, just to make them think that, don't forget, we might run downhill. Yep. Positive yards, something else for the defense to think about, and then we go back to running power and counter. Now, once again, one of our favorite things to do, and put responsibility up in the box. Up in the box, the responsibilities are play action and contain, right? Are they containing on the backside? Are the safeties diving down? You got to communicate with us and let us know. And sometimes I get impatient. I want to get to the play action passes, but it's up to those guys up front to say, Coach, it's not there yet. It's not there yet. And then they finally say, Coach, they're running on the backside. So now we say, okay, quarterback boots and reverses. So now we've run these plays so much, and then once again, this is late in the year, run it strong side, run it strong side, run it strong side. We know they're not protecting the backside. They're overplaying the front side, and now we just hand the reverse. Pretty simple. The front side is blocked the exact same way as power. The only guy that's different is the center who blocks back. He now leaks out as the lead blocker. Now we bought an extra blocker with the tackle, which we don't really count on, because he should be coming inside and blocking the first backer inside. But the first backer inside blitzes. He's got nobody to block, so he tries to help out also. And then once again, we hand the ball to a fast guy. So I am a huge fan of Christian McCaffrey. There's not a bigger fan. You may think you're a bigger fan. I am a bigger fan. And this play is why. So here's Christian. Rolls over it and then hauls ass to get downfield. And look who comes in the picture to make a play. That's how you become a team leader. That's how you become a great player. This is an example we used over and over again. This is a couple of years ago where Christian's having the best year in the history of college football. I'll say it again. The best year of any running back in the history of college football. Broke Barry Sanders' record. And he gets so excited about somebody else making a play. So excited about somebody else making a play. He's the faking back. He could have easily kind of just mailed it in. He ran full speed to come down here, and first of all, to try to get a block, and second of all, to celebrate with somebody else who makes a play. That's just awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so this slide. I mentioned this before, and going from last year to this year, just looking at what we had, it was just a phenomenal group of tight ends. Kobe Fleener just retired. The rest of these guys are playing extremely well in the NFL. The next year after those guys left, our leading tight end had 5 catches for 45 yards. And it was tough for us, but we had to adjust. We had to become a different team. So like I mentioned before, with this year, realizing that we weren't going to be able to run the ball the same way we did before, but what are our strengths? So we went to our strengths. So part of what we had to develop was another system that wasn't just a 2-back system, or a 3 tight end system, or a 4 tight end system. We said, okay, we got to be a better 1-back run team with very similar principles. We need to have play actions and quarterback movements and our screens, all kind of going off the running game. Next slide here. So this is from this year. So one of the things that we started to do, which is one of the big NFL plays, which is a lot of people call it a bunch of different things. Half the teams call it duo or something else. It's just a front side gap run without a puller. It's a gap run without a puller. So it's still double teams, but more vertical double teams. Quarterback still reversing. Running back has a still same footwork. Slide, drop, downhill, trying to stay vertical. Once again, hand the ball to a fast guy. It's a shame he wasn't able to run in the combine this year, because I think it would have been a low 4.3. Not overly complicated. Once again, everybody in the NFL is running this play. We got 3 for 3 on the backside. Once again, no pullers. So we're blocking here, we're blocking there. We got a front side double team there, a vertical double team here, where this guy's blocking this guy. We can bring the Z down to block this guy if we can. Everybody staying square, trying to give the running back a lane. Patience, slide, drop, find a crease, get vertical. Break 2 tackles and run away from everybody. Another example, front side double teams, being physical, finding creases, getting vertical. Young receiver missed a block. I'm a big fan of receivers, and I've had a lot of arguments / discussions with a lot of people. I just believe when receivers block safeties, they should block the near shoulder. A lot of people teach coming and getting in front of that safety, which I understand to a certain degree, but I was that guy for a long time, and sometimes you get in front of that safety and you have no idea where that ball's going, and you try to get that block and that guy's got a 2-way go on you, and you end up missing. And I just assume come in, get on the outside shoulder, stay on that outside shoulder, and hopefully give the running back an opportunity to cut behind me for a big play, or if he stays that way, at least the guy that I'm blocking has to make a one-arm tackle. Because I'm engaging with that shoulder, trying not to hold him because I'm shoving him, I'm pushing him. And if the ball goes that way, okay, if he makes a one-arm tackle, good for him. But if he can't, if my guy can break it, then it's got a chance to be another big play. Once again, 3 for 3 on the backside, vertical double team, edges are contained, getting vertical. Good attitude run, good physical run. Kind of do it over and over and over again. Once again, from up in the box, hey coach, they're dropping the safety down front side. Our receiver's singled up backside. Backside linebacker, what's he doing? Coach, he's running. Beautiful. Now we come back, same look to a play action pass. Really simple. Everybody should look exactly the same, and we just run a 5-step slant on the backside. Nothing earth-shattering. Once again, starting from up top, how are they trying to take away our running play? They're dropping the safety down. The linebacker's cheated, so you see the weak side linebacker, who's usually kind of over the guard, he's now in the backside A. He's getting out of the passing lane. Great. Come back, take advantage of that. Shows up once every 4 or 5 games. Sorry. Still physical up front. Shouldn't be a lot of shoulders raised. I say once every couple games. I think we did it twice against UCLA. But came back to it much later during the course of the game. Safeties are down. Everybody's tight. They're trying to stop the run. We come back. Quick action. 5-step slant. Get vertical. Get as much as possible. Don't swing the ball. Drives me crazy. Another really good concept for us, changing formations, etc. Single back power, right? We're a gap team. Front side double team to the backside linebacker. Tight ends blocking the defensive end. Backside guards pulling for the front side inside linebacker. No fair dodging, as my old boss used to say, Brian Billick. We're running our play. This is an example what I was talking about for the receivers up top, is that if I can come and just get on that near shoulder and I give a really good running back a one-on-one with a corner, most defensive backs, not on our team, but most defensive backs didn't sign up to play football to tackle running backs. They signed up to football to get interceptions and play pass defense outside. we want to engage those guys into real football. So if we can seal that safety, the guy that they think is a better tackler, that's why he's playing safety, and make that corner try to tackle Christian McCaffrey one-on-one, things are going to be good for us. Things are going to be good for us. Well, let's get nothing earth-shattering. Double team at the front side for the backside linebacker. Pulling around for the front side linebacker. Base block in here. I believe we put a tight end tackle here. Or no, that's our tight end. We left our tight end in. But we did a lot of mixing up, putting our tackles in there. Yeah. Come back in 3-by-1. 3-by-1. Run the same play. Just run a power play. The Oregon this year played with this past year, a few years ago, played with a 9 technique. We make a decision week after week, kind of based on matchup, based on what we want to do. Do we let our tight end base block that 9, or do we track back with him and now pull for him, and then and now track for the front side inside linebacker? So this game we decided to track with the tight end, kick out with the guard, find a crease, and once again hand the ball to a fast guy. Didn't think where I was when I put this film together. Didn't quite put 2 and 2 together there. Sorry about that. I heard you. So now, I heard that too. So now, based on one of our, it's once again, base game plan for us, up in the box, we're looking at safeties, we're looking at backside, what are they doing to stop us? So up in the box, our guys are looking for very specific things. Okay, coach, they're playing a lot too high, and that slot defender is really, really nosy on our power play. He's really, really nosy. What Notre Dame liked to do this year was either, this is a few years ago, was either bring him in and slant the entire front and make your runs wind back to the unblocked defender, or just bring him in and engage him so that everybody else slides strong and takes everything on with their right shoulder so that the back naturally comes back into this unblockable defender because he's splitting the difference, so this guy can't block him. So now we said, okay, great. We get to our quick play action pass that looks like the exact same run. We're going to pull the guard. They're going to put the ball in the belly of the back, and now basically kind of run that same exact route that we ran a little ago. This is a little 5-step slant in the slot. The receiver knows all I got to do is cross that safety's face. Quarterback's going to put the ball in the belly of the back and find that window. So kind of just a 5-step slant inside and a 16-yard curl outside. So one of my favorite questions I get, there's a few ones that come up a lot, which we talk about, Coach, you have some really big tendencies, and I say, good. Good, you should have tendencies. Don't try to be that coach that tries to avoid all tendencies. Because first of all, if you have tendencies, both you and your players know what you want to be good at, and you work at it. But now when you have tendencies, you decide when you want to break those tendencies. So that's how we get to a play like this, by running about 15 one-back powers. One back power, one back power, one back power, one back power. Okay, what are they doing? Do we need to adjust the front side? Do we need to adjust the back side? Oh, they're playing too high with a nosy slot defender. Okay, great, let's call the play action pass. Oh, coach, they're pressuring a lot. Okay, great. Let's kill the play, let's change the play to a pass. They're playing single up outside. What are we going to do to counteract them trying to stop something that we've built a tendency on? And you got to build tendency on things that you do well and things that you believe in. Same thought, same concept. Apologize to the Oregon State fans in the crowd. So now we're getting that inside slot defender. Oh man, now he's jamming the guy. Now we don't have it. Now we have our curl back outside. quick 1 to 2 by the quarterback, put the belly in the back, put the ball in the belly of the back, inside seam, no, outside seam, and then we have our back check and release. Really quick 3-man combination, seam, curl, find the check down. So another thing that we like to get to versus pressure, once again, another play should look exactly the same. We run this on 3rd down. I believe this is a 3rd and 10. This is sometimes a play that we'll say, hey, we're going to run this play just to get 5 more yards to the punt or to get 5 more yards closer to the field goal. We're not going to hold the ball on 3rd and 10 trying to score a touchdown when we don't have to because we know this is a big pressure team. Or we'll say, you know what, hey, let's run the receiver screen that looks exactly like the single back power. So everything looks exactly the same until we pull it, and I'll get it balled outside to our guy. Which once again starts with having something that you believe in, working in play action, working in quarterback movements, working in receiver screens. Should look exactly the same. Now our center blocking back and our right tackle coming down, and now both those two guys come back out and try to find a way to get vertical on people to create a seam to run the ball. So once again, more so than just talking plays, tried to talk more philosophy and mentality towards combining a few things that hopefully you can do well. Now, love to open it up for any questions. Questions, comments, concerns. Pissed at me for showing organ clips. Anybody, anything. How do we block our RPOs? That's a great question. So we are in the infancy of running RPOs. We've talked to a bunch of different people, and I like the way the Philadelphia Eagles do it. I've looked at a lot of different colleges and the way that they do it. So philosophically, the side of the run is blocked like the run. The backside is blocked like a scat protection. We call scat, which means no back help. So the two linemen backside, they're typically blocking like it's 3-step empty protection. So they're blocking the two most dangerous, and the quarterback is reading a backside defender, whoever you designate as that backside guy they're reading, and that's how we work it. If it's wide open, we'll pull it and throw it. If it's not, we hand it. What a lot of people differ on, which is really interesting to me, is let's say the guard and tackle backside are covered, and there's a linebacker, inside linebacker that you're reading. What a lot of people differ on is when that guy blitzes, what to do. Some people, if that guy blitzes, we say, hey, that means that window is open, pull the ball and throw it. Some people say if that guy blitzes, hey, let's hand it. A lot of quarterbacks I talk to prefer to hand it because that guy's unblocked, right? It's the reason why my old boss John Gruden called RPOs ridiculous protection offense, because you're pulling the ball out with a linebacker running straight at the quarterback as he's trying to make a throw. So yeah, like I said, we are not experts by any stretch. We ran a handful during the course of the year, not a whole lot. It's never going to be a huge part of what we do, but we do dabble in it.
You guys trade shift motion sometimes 4 or 5 times on each play. Do you have a specific terminology for each trade shift of motion, or do you say dog and that is 4 shifts and the guys know it?
Great question. Questions about our shifts and motions when we have multiple, and yes, we try to give them code words. So like the shift that week will just be called Ram, right? Because we saw the Rams do it. So this is Ram shift to whatever the formation is. Or we just say Ram. So we'll say Ram, and then we'll call the play. So the guys know, hey, when the quarterback says move, we're going to start in this formation, go to that formation, to try to keep our verbiage down, because we have a lot of verbiage anyway, so we don't want to add to it. And when we do that, typically for us, and this is not trying to give anything away or not, but for me, philosophically, I like doing those shifts and motions on plays that I know our guys can decipher. Right? If sometimes you do a crazy shift and you're doing it with a new play, and the ball gets snapped, and the defense gets screwed up. So as we all know, sometimes when the defense gets screwed up, our guys are screwed up. So we try to do it on plays that our guys know, and they can solve the problems on the field. Like a gap scheme, hey, no matter how they line up, our double teams are going from here to there. Whoever's there, that's who we're going to. So plays that are simple for our guys, that's when we'll use our shifts and motions. More questions? Yes?
O-line philosophy, do you practice different linemen at all positions? Or do you try to keep people stuck at guard or right side, left side? You know, some programs, they'll have a guy who can play guard, right guard, center, left guard. So if somebody gets hurt, you got your next best guy.
Yeah, and that's hard. That's easier on our level sometimes than your level. But still for me, it depends on the guys. Every single internal guy that we bring in, we teach them how to snap. Some guys can do it, some guys are horrible at it. But we find out early. I would love to have every guard at some point may have to bail us out at center, right? So we see who can snap, who's got a good feel for it, and we do it every spring, we do it every training camp. And as we get into the season, if they're not any good at it, we leave them alone. But then next spring, we're going to work on it again, just in case. Every tackle, at some point, we try to make sure they know what the guard's doing, and we may move them if we need to. Like if we're light in the spring, say, hey, take a couple reps of guard. You know what the guard does. Be great communication, just so we kind of cross-train them as much as possible, just for, the apocalypse. Oh my God, we just had 3 guys get hurt. And our third-string guard is not as good as our first-string tackle that we're going to move to guard because our second-string tackle is better. So just to protect ourselves from that, because we've been through that a couple times, like right now, we're trying to practice with 4 healthy offensive linemen. So yeah, we do that. But if a guy doesn't show the ability to do it, we don't stay with it. And for some guys, if you give them too much to think about, now at their main position, they don't play as well. So if we can identify that a guy starts to play really, really slow because he's trying to think too much, leave him back at his comfortable spot, because it's still about those guys playing at a high level.
Coach, how does your weight room philosophy line up with what you want to do on the field?
That's a great question. So our weight room philosophy honestly has its background in track. And you'll hear that from a lot of different people. Not as many, but I think it's growing, where we're about explosive movement more so than brute strength. We want to be explosive, we want to be flexible, we want to be athletic, and we want to be strong. So for us, it's not as much about the bench and the squat as it is about the power clean, as it is about the functional movement screens and making sure that we have ankle mobility and hip mobility and shoulder mobility. Those are 3 things that if you could take away anything from here that you need to be thinking about, because ankle mobility is not just about ankle, it's about protecting your knee, right? The more flexible my ankle is, the less stress I can put on my knee for when I get into one of those tight spots. And if nothing moves, eventually that force is going to come out wherever the weakest point is. So that's what we talk about, functional movement and functional movement and the functional movement screen, FMS, which is really huge. It's a great thing to know and understand. It's like putting a broomstick on a guy's back and having him do a perfect squat. And if his knee goes out, he's susceptible to injury. If his knee goes far in, he's susceptible to injury. And understanding the correctives of that, okay, before we ask you to squat 315 pounds, 225 pounds, 245 pounds, we're going to make sure you can squat a bar and do it perfectly. So everything stays in line so that your power producing angles are proper, so that when you get into a stressful situation, i.e. a football game, your body is in line so that you can explode and come back out of it, as opposed to being susceptible to injury. So for us, it's about the mechanics of the movements. It's about explosion. It's about flexibility. We may not have a whole bunch of guys that bench the whole weight room, but we want them to be functionally strong. Now, on top of that, we do a lot of, and they're no longer funky things, but putting the chains on the bench, not to the point where it's so hard the guys can't do it, but backing off the weight a little bit, but putting the chains on. What the chains do is the more they push, the more chain comes off the floor, so the heavier it gets. So it's nowhere close to their max, but that's kind of what happens when they're blocking somebody, and now this part's easy, and that part's hard. So that's kind of what the chains are supposed to do. So things like that are just built towards football. We do, some standing things. The standing bench that you could easily do with kind of like an incline. We like doing it standing because our guys are standing. They're getting power from the ground when they're producing force. So as many things that you can see a direct correlation from the weight room to the field, those are things that we really try to do. I saw another hand somewhere. Yes?
Coach, how do you maintain simplicity within your offense, but also embrace like the academic learners that you guys have in your program?
That is the trick. So I've had about three conversations with my offensive coordinator and 2 conversations with my defensive coordinator in the past month, and that's exactly what we talk about. So really funky stat. I just found this out yesterday. So trying to capsulize this to talk about to our staff, because every year we do the same thing. I'm not accusing you, but it happens to me every single year, and it's like Groundhog's Day. We go through the year, go through the scheme evaluation, and there's like 30 plays that we ran one time. How many practice hours do we put towards running a play that we ran one time all year? And then we're really flipping a coin whether or not it worked or not. It's not that we're great and they're terrible if it did, not like we're terrible and we're great if it flip that. So trying to find a way to, how do we maximize our practice time so that what we're practicing we're actually calling. So the funky thing I found out yesterday, I took out all of the no plays, all of the penalties, all of the kneel downs, all of the spikes, and this past year we ran low in college football nowadays, 858 plays. The year before, let me compare it to the year before. So went to the year before, took out all those other things as well, 858 plays. It's kind of scary. A couple guys on staff wanted to go play the lottery. That's a sign, Coach. That's a sign. But the reason why I cut those things out to say, okay, what percentage of our top plays are we running? So the 858 plays, our top run play was 6%. I'm like, gosh, that's just really low. That's really low for something we truly believe in and try to rep, because we've got such smart guys. We can add some more, and our guys can handle it. So we get into a spiral to where, they know our top play, but we got to work on these new things so we get good at these new things, which makes a lot of sense until you get to the end of the year and say, okay, we had a whole bunch of new things that we ran in 1 or 2 games, and our identity, our base plays that we were extremely efficient on. So I'm like, what percentage is that? I don't know what the percentage is for your best run play, but it should probably be more than 4 to 6%. I think it should be 10%. It should be 10% of our overall calls, and maybe that's 30% of our run calls. Should be the play that we believe the most in. So that I tried to go a pure math route to see what makes sense, because we fall into the trap because we got such bright guys, and I had to do it this year for our offensive coordinator and myself, not just for him, because we got a quarterback coming back that's going to be one of the top 5 in America, along with the quarterback at Oregon. One of the top 5 quarterbacks in America who's got a lot of experience, and we're going to be tempted to give him a lot. And, okay, we can do this, and we can do this, and we can do this. But the bottom line for me is, what can we go out there and efficiently execute over and over and over again? Because that's also when you find your explosive plays. I fall into that trap like many people, that we're going to create explosive plays by tricking the other guys. And I keep the explosive plays, honestly, game by game. I keep a cut up, and I watch it all the time, where they come from. The majority of our explosive plays, single back power, counter, draw, right? Everybody's blocked and we make one guy miss. And it's because we've been efficient because guys know what to do. And we get a one-on-one and the guy makes a play and now we're off to the races. So just trying to cut down on our trying to be smarter than the other coaches and say, how do we put our guys in position to be consistently successful and knowing that eventually one of those plays is going to pop, which is common sense, but it's hard to fight. It's hard to fight it. Yes?
On the game day mental side, I've watched you for years, and it almost like you don't react on purpose on the sideline versus a Stoops or a Harbaugh or pick your other coach. Is that an intentional thing, or is that just truly personality style, or is there a benefit to that?
So the question is on my game day mentality. They actually produced a shirt. I don't know if many of you have seen it about 5 years ago. It's like the Stormtrooper shirt, where it's the same picture of the Stormtrooper over and over. It says happy, sad, angry, etc. They did a Shaw shirt very similar to that, which my kids enjoyed. So for me, and this is I'll start by saying this. I used to always say, you look at Tony Dungy and Bill Belichick, and both were very successful. Both have very different personalities. Game day, with the media, locker room, all completely different, but both very successful. What, to me, they have in common is that they're genuine. They're just who they are. And I think our players, they know when we're bullshitting. They know when we're trying to do something other than just being who we are and being honest and straightforward with them. So I say that to say it's kind of who I am. When I was 12 years old, my sister used to call me the old man because I was always very even keel. But as far as my true game day mentality, I love it, and I don't look like I'm enjoying it, but I'm enjoying every minute of it. But the way that I look at it is I'm not responsible for this moment. I'm responsible for the next moment. So I try not to distract my team because I want the coaches and the players to be in the moment. That's what I want for them. They got to be in the moment. Like once the play call is in, I'm on the next moment. I'm already on the next moment. Whatever happens, I'm already there. Like, okay, we just called a play. Hey, if we get incompletion at 2nd and 10, here's what I want to do. If we get a completion, I want to run the ball. So I'll tell the guy, hey, if we get a good completion here, get ready for a run. So I always feel like I need to be a step ahead. So even when we score and everybody's going crazy, I'm usually saying, kick it. PAT team, okay, great. PAT's out there. All right, next series. And a lot of times I walk away from the action because I'm preparing myself for what's going next. What's the score? Okay, we're now up by 7. This doesn't change anything, but we got to be ready for this. This is what happened the last series. So for me, I'm always I'm trying to play the chess match a couple moves ahead so that I'm not surprised. Defensively, okay, we're about to be back up defensively. Hey, say something to the defense coordinator. Remember last time they did this. Let's be ready for the double moves. So that's where I'm engaged with the game, but and sometimes I feel weird saying it, that I don't allow myself to be in the moment. And sometimes it feels like I should be, but I know I'm at my best when I'm thinking about what's coming down the pike.
Coach, is that something you have to discuss with your other coaches, to have like a culture like that, so they'd be more in the moment with the kids then right there?
I try not to make a big deal of it, but I tell them all the time. We actually have a thing in our locker room where we take the biggest moment from the year before and just as the moment. And when I reference that, I'm like, okay, remember, you guys got to stay in the moment. You got to stay in the moment. You got to be there. Play call, you got to live every play call like it's life or death. And that thing's okay, but now we got to live the next play call. Just while they're living that play call, I'm on the next play call. So your hand went up. Yes?
Do you have a specific philosophy on like going for it on 4th down or when to kick the punt versus go for it or kick the field goal versus out there?
I do, and it differs from our fans. Because I hear about it. So here's the thing, and I've had this discussion so many times. We had a guy in the office when Coach Harbaugh was there early on who was a huge statistical guy. And he read one of those big papers that was produced about percentages. And you should go for it on 4th down all the time. And here's why. You should go for it 2 go for 2 all the time, and here's why. And I have a conservative nature, and he's just like, Coach, and I let him go, and he gave me all the reasons. I said, okay, great. Here's what's not in either one of those papers that you just read. Somebody has to go to the press conference. And it's not going to be one of those guys that wrote that paper. Coach, you went for it on 4th and 4 on your own 35-yard line. You lost the game. Why would you do that? Well, I read this paper. Like some guy in Massachusetts sitting in his underwear, and I thought it was going to work. So mine is based on feel and experience. So I don't have a chart. I have a 2-point chart, but as far as going for it on 4th down, general philosophy for me is usually 4th and 5 or less in positive territory. And then the X factor, what's going on in the game, right? We got a 2-score lead, and we're on the plus 45-yard line, and it's 4th and 3. I'm punting the ball. I'm not giving them a chance to get back in the game. We got a 3-score lead, same situation, and we're playing well. Yeah, we're going for it. Yeah, we're going for it. No hesitation. Let's do it. So for me, it's 4th and 5 or less, and then where are we? Oh, you know what, doggone it, it's 4th and 5, and we have not played well, and we're down by 7. Yeah, we're going for it. We gotta make something happen to keep momentum on our side so we can end this thing in the end zone and get our guys feeling good about themselves. So that's typically where I am. It's down in distance, the field position. I've gone for it on my own side of the 50 a couple of times, but it's usually either we're up big or we're down. If the score's really close, I'm still a son of a football coach and son of a defensive football coach. We're going to play field position. And I'll never forget, it's one of my favorite moments in a game that we did not win. But the philosophy was right. We're in a tight game, very tight game. We're playing against Utah. It's one of those games where both teams wish they had a bye week the next week because it was physical, it was nasty, it was brutal, and it was a lot of respect from both teams. We had a 4th and 3 with a tie score, down by 7 on like the 47-yard line, and they weren't making any plays on offense. We weren't making any plays on offense, and I sent the punt team out there, and you would have thought that I kicked somebody, right? Because the whole crowd's boo, just. I mean, I felt the booze on the back of my neck, and we punted the ball, stopped them, got the ball back 5 yards closer than where we were, and went down and scored. And that's why you play field position. That's why you play field position. Unless you're sure, unless you feel good about it, or your team needs it, if we're in a tight game, hey, we're going to play field position, we're going to play defense, we're going to be good on special teams, good enough to pin people back, and then hold them back down there, get the ball back, and now have a chance to score. Yes?
You cover your tight end a lot and leave your tackle uncovered. Is there any philosophy behind why you flop that out to tight end in an eligible situation?
I'm sorry, say it again?
So you cover your tight end a lot and leave your tackle uncovered. Is there a reason why you leave your tight end where you don't bring tackle over?
So I'll answer you very honestly. It depends on who we're playing and what they do. So we may go unbalanced and bring the tight end over because this team has a 50-50 chance of bringing the corner over with them. So now they don't have a defensive back there, and we're going to run a counter back over there, right? Now, if he stays over there, we'll check and we'll run the ball back front side. So sometimes we kind of do it on purpose, and sometimes if we, like the one we showed up there, we'll shift the tackle over and leave the tight end there because sometimes teams will say, hey, as long as you have some are cover 4 teams, as long as you have an eligible receiver back there, we're going to play a quarters look over there. We say, great. We've left 2 defensive backs over there, but we've created another run gap over here. So it depends on who we're playing and what their philosophy is. And I don't like making the tight ends ineligible unless we're creating at least something for the quarterback to see, to say, oh, they're naked back over there. We're either going to boot back there or we're going to run the ball back there. Oh, they're protected back over there? Okay, well, now we'll run back to this side. A few more? Yes?
So how much do you believe in using your running backs in the pass game?
Using our running backs in the passing game. For me, they're two big factors. Number one is the ability of the running back. It's all on the backs. I don't want to make it a big part of what we do if they're not great at it. And then number two, which is kind of adjusted to that, is how good are they in relationship to everybody else, which is always a tough thing. Cam Scarlett, great hands, great catching the ball in the backfield, outstanding. Bryce Love is good, not great, but he's good. So even during the course of the year, we take Bryce off the field to put Cam on there for some of the back option routes. I said, well, why are you taking, Bryce Love off the field? I said, well, because we got somebody that does it a little bit better. And then we didn't do it a lot because we also had other guys that we want to get the ball to. So all those things kind of work together. And I mentioned Christian McCaffrey. I'm very bold in saying it. I love football, and I have a good feel for the history of football. I'm not an expert in history of football. Christian McCaffrey is the best receiving running back to ever play in college football. So he was a priority. We ran option routes repeatedly out of the backfield. Anybody remember our Rose Bowl game, last Rose Bowl game against Iowa? First play of the game, 75-yard option route out of the backfield for Christian. So here's a guy who was a specialist. We made it a big part of what we did. Our guys weren't as good at that, but we still kept that in. But both Bryce Love and Cameron Scarlett are good screen backs. So we're just coming off one of the best screen years we've ever had because we accentuated what our guys did well. So that's one thing I try not to ever leave because I love involving the running backs in the passing game. We didn't do it as much last year, partially because we're running the hell out of the ball. And in the passing game, that's when we gave Bryce Love a break, honestly. He had a high ankle sprain. He was still unbelievable. But in the passing game, we'd take him off for a few plays a game just to give him a break. Good question. Yes, sir.
Coach, you talked early on about your identity, whether it be a power ranking or balanced offense. Can you talk about developing that identity? Is it more trial and error, or do you have that established before the season even starts?
Good question. So developing the identity, once again, a little bit different for us than for you all. I remind our coaches all the time, like, we can't change people. We can help them get a little bit better. But we need to recruit guys that have the same mentality that we want them to have. My favorite way to say that is you can't change a dog into a cat. Like, you want a cat, you better find a cat. You want a dog, you find a dog. Don't find this really tough cat and think he's going to turn into a dog because he's not, right? So the philosophy, it has to be adopted by the players, which means we have to have the right guys. Now, the connection is we also practice the way that we want to play. We try to be as safe as possible and smart as possible, but we're going to be physical in practice. We're not going to be physical the entire practice, but we're going to be physical in every practice. So, like our team periods, during the course of the year, we don't tackle, but we have an aggressive thud. I want everybody to stay off the ground. I want anybody on the ground. And I want our linebackers, when they come up to meet the fullback, I should close my eyes and hear it. Now, I shouldn't hear helmet to helmet, but I should hear those shoulder pads popping, right? When somebody comes to tag off on the back, we even got to the point of this a little bit. Our guys would come up and kind of do this. I said, I haven't seen any tackles made that way. I want our guys to come up. The first guy, only the first guy to the running back, I want to wrap him up. I want to put his face mask on him, put his pads on him, and let him go. Now, the rest of the guys, they can come and tag off. But I want our guys to practice getting in position to tackle and making some contact. So if that's the only way you practice, it ends up being how you play. So guys are in position every single time they're coming up to make that tackle. Guys are used to, we're going to come off the ball and we're going to pop each other. Now, our team periods are 12 plays long. They're not 15, they're not 20. It's 12 plays, and typically the starters will get 6 of those 12, maybe 7. But they know, okay, for your 6 plays, these need to be physical plays. I believe in respecting the guys on the defensive side. I believe in not hurting. We're not trying to hurt the other guys. But if we want to play physical, we better practice physically. And, just one of those things for me. And every time I hear someone say, oh, well, we had a rash of injuries, so we didn't do much banging this training camp. Like, oh, we're going to beat them. Glad they're on the schedule. Because you can't go from not hitting to hitting full speed and play at a high level. Not in our conference. They're too big, they're too physical. And you look at Utah, you look at Arizona State, you look at what Justin Wilcox is doing at Cal, which he's doing a hell of a job at Cal. You look at the defense personnel at Oregon. You look at the defense personnel at UCLA. They didn't have a great year last year, but they got some big, fast, physical guys. If you don't practice it and you ask your guys to do it full speed on national TV in front of a whole bunch of people when it really counts, now you're just hoping. I don't believe in hoping. I believe in practicing. Got time for a few more?
Coach,
Yes.
on kind of on that note, when you
But for the record, let everybody know I'm actually answering a question from a guy in an Oregon hat.
That's right. That's right.
Okay.
You went to USC last year, so.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. You're used to being in enemy territory. So when you have a dynamic player like Bryce or Christian that's banged up, is it better for you to sit him out for a couple of weeks, or is it literally just limit him in the game day prep plan?
Great question. The question's about a great player who's banged up, and this is a question I've answered multiple times. And going back to Christian first, Christian had a bit of a hip pointer his last year, and was good enough to play, and was really bothering him. And I came to him, and Christian's the ultimate competitor, and we're playing at Notre Dame. I was like, Christian, we can't play you. And just the look on his face, because he knew it, because he knew he couldn't run full speed, he knew he couldn't cut. He probably could have gone out there and faked it and been about 50% of himself. And those are hard conversations, but sometimes we have to be the adult in the conversation. And if we're going to be honest to what we're doing and why, and I'm in college football to help young people, not just to win football games. So I got to tell him, I said, for your betterment now and beyond, you got to sit this game. And the guys appreciate it, even when they fight you. He said, this is not for me, this is for you. Bryce Love. Bryce is the harder conversation. Bryce has a lot of nicknames at Stanford. One is Superman. Another one is Wolverine. And he has those nicknames because I've never seen anybody do what he did on a high ankle sprain. This guy had 200 yards rushing on a high ankle sprain, multiple times. So for me, when I would see him limp, I'd take him off the field, get him out of here. They retape his ankle, and he says, Coach, I'm ready to go back in. I say, no, you got to go back with the trainers and your coach and see if you can sprint and cut. Because if you can't, then you can't play. And he come back and they say, Coach, he can cut. I'm like, I just watched him limp off the field. I said, Coach, he can cut. Okay, well, let's put him back out there then. He goes back out there and, So the guy, it's also the guy, not just their pain tolerance, but can they go out there and be effective? Going through the trainers and doctors, is this safe? Is this something that he can do and not make it worse? And still trying to gauge it. And at some point, even more so than the trainers and doctors, I'm going to make the call. I'm going to make the call. Even if they say he's good to go, I'm still going to make the call. And I've pulled more guys out of games than I've put back in when the trainers have left it up to me. Because that's how I get a chance to look that young man in the eye. That's how I get a chance to look his parents in the eye and say, I'm going to take care of you, even if you don't want me to sometimes. But once again, and Bryce, I feel so bad for Bryce. Bryce was dealing with an ankle sprain and played so well on an ankle, and it was taped, and it wasn't getting any worse, and then hurt his knee in the last game. But talked to him the other day, and he said, Coach, I'm ready for week 1. He said, at some point during training camp, I'm going to be ready, and I'm ready for week 1.
Beautiful. Where do you think it's going to go?
That's a good question. It's a good question with Bryce Love's draft status. I have no idea, because the film, the healthy Bryce Love film says first round. The banged up Bryce Love film says late first round, early second. So now with him being injured, it depends on when he goes and gets checked by the doctors in April, closer to the draft, if he's ahead of schedule like he has been, he could go anywhere from the second round to the fifth round, depending on who wants him and the chance they want to take. But I have a lot of faith in this young man. John Ross is the most explosive player to play in our conference in recent memory. I'd say Bryce is probably the second most explosive. So I'm excited to see him on Sundays. Yes?
Coach, you guys are pretty selective when it comes to recruiting. What's your recruiting philosophy? I know you guys don't offer a ton of guys like some of these other schools do. How do you make sure you're bringing in the right guys, the right fit, and how do you go about that?
Great question. So I'll give you the short version of our recruiting philosophy, which is, number one, we see the transcripts before we see the film. And I'm tired of getting my heart broken, watching all these great players that can't get into school. So I want to see the transcript first, then we see the film, and then honestly, then we hopefully have either talked to or will talk to the head coach and make a call to the counselor, because we're going to find out what kind of guy we're talking about. And I think most coaches are very positive about their guys, but we want to ask the questions and try to get to know them a little bit. And a lot of times we want to know, is this guy going to travel? Is he going to leave home? Is he open to being across country? Because we're a national recruiter. So that's one of some of the big things we find out. We're going to find out about character. We're going to find out if they're willing to go across the country. And the last thing for me is do they have interests outside of football? Because a lot of people don't understand is that you can love football and love something else and still be great at football. Some people think you have to throw everything else away if you want to be great at football. No. You have to be balanced in life. And you can give everything to football and still be a good student. You give everything to football and still aspire to be a doctor or an engineer or whatever. So we want to find those well-rounded guys. And for me, that is a small subsect. And I try to train the coaches as they go out. There's certain guys that you're looking for. And usually within talking to them for about 5 minutes, you have an idea. If you spend any time with our team, any of you, if you ever spend time with our guys, or we have guys on our team, on our team from your teams, you kind of know those guys. You go to a room of high school football players, you'd be able to pick out the 2 or 3 that would be Stanford offers. And that's how we keep our recruitment. Since I've taken note, I don't think we've ever offered more than 50 guys in a year. I think we're usually around 40. And some teams are up to 300. I don't know how you recruit 300 guys. I have no idea. Honestly, because you don't. Right? You're just throwing offers out all the place and see who bites. We're very specific. We frustrate high school coaches. We frustrate kids. We frustrate their parents because of our slow process. But when we offer a guy, it's a real offer. We're not going to pull it because we've done all the vetting. We've done all the looking. We say, okay, now let's talk about the application. Let's talk about the process. So we are slower than everybody, but I believe that we are extremely honest and upfront about how we do it. Yes?
Question for you. So kind of along the lines of recruiting, I think something that we're battling a little bit in the high school world is the 7-on-7 piece, the academy piece, the transfer piece. Where does that fall into kind of your recruiting process? And are you digging in with the high school coaches? Are the academies being used in any way, or what does that look like for you in that process?
So for us, during the recruiting process, we talk to the high school coach. I've never talked to a 7-on-7 coach, and I never will, because 7-on-7 is not football. I want to know who the young man is, and not just who he plays with, and who he plays for, and how they're going to help him get the scholarships by going and playing in their underwear. I don't get it. I don't get it. Our process is so different, and not than most, it's different than everybody. And I don't mean disrespect towards anybody else, but Northwestern, Notre Dame, Vanderbilt, Duke, they don't go through what we go through. They don't. There are a lot of guys that go to those schools that they don't have a prayer of coming to Stanford. So with our process being so difficult, a lot of times we need to have the head coach on board. We need to have the counselor on board. We need to have somebody in the home on board, because when everybody else is kissing this kid's backside, we're saying, hey, we like you too, but you better sign up for that AP course. Hey, nice job on the SAT. Yes, you are a qualifier. We need you to take it again. And then just prepare to take it again after that. Because we're asking these guys to do something nobody else is. We need more. So when everybody else is telling them how great they are, we're telling them what to do to get to Stanford. So we're looking for a very small group of people. And anytime during the process where the kid's like, Coach, I don't want to take another SAT. I'm like, okay, that's great. This just means you're not going to come to Stanford. At least you know now and I know now, so you can find someplace else to go. And I don't have a problem with that. That's great. But the guys that want to come to Stanford, they say, okay, how many times do I have to take it? Let me take it again. I'm going to add another class. Hey, tell me what it takes to get there. Those are the guys that make it to Stanford. Those are the guys that do well at Stanford.